welcome to today's program dubbed A Health Chat with Zanice, with me, Faith Mutale. In today's program, we are looking at anthrax situation in Lusaka province. And to help us discuss this important program, I have in the studio Dr. Simunyamana Chonga, the Provincial Health Director, Lusaka province. Doc, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Faith. I'm happy that I'm on this platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your appearance. Firstly, we would want to know the situation on the ground as in Lusaka province, and if at all we have recorded any anthrax cases in this province.
Thank you, Faith. First of all, I just wanted to mention that remember that just about a few weeks ago, the Honorable Minister of Health did update the country in terms of the anthrax that is around the country. A number of districts are affected, and so Lusaka province equally has not been spared. So Lusaka district has a few suspected cases, and also we have a few suspected cases in Kafue. But they are still suspected because they are still undergoing laboratory testing. But these are just suspected cases. But so in short, yes, 2 districts are affected. Okay. Thank you.
Can we say these are the most affected districts in Lusaka province? And if so, why is it so?
I think many aspects. These are the 2 that are currently affected. Anthrax basically is transmitted by either eating contaminated meat from an animal that had died on its own, or a wild animal that wild or either domestic that has died on its own. So the chances are that maybe in Lusaka we do actually consume quite some meat that may be coming from different parts of the country into the city. That's one of the speculations that I would say that this is the reason why maybe Lusaka is affected. But all the districts are vulnerable. That is the most important message, that any person in any of the districts in the Lusaka province can be affected, even though we have 2 districts that are affected at the current moment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. How are we looking at it in terms of age groups? Is there any specific age group which is mostly hit by this disease, or it's just general for everyone?
Not really, Faith. Actually, anybody can be affected as long as you've consumed or you've eaten contaminated meat or a meat product that are infected with the anthrax germ. So there are no real specific age group. Anyone can actually get the disease as once they eat meat which is contaminated or products that are contaminated.
Okay, thank you so much for that one. In terms of vaccines, we are very sure that we do have some of the vaccines for the animals per se. But how much of it do we have in terms of stock for the vaccines?
Okay, thank you, Faith. Our friends from Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries have actually done a very good job, a very commendable job. They have given out vaccines in different districts to vaccinate animals in specific districts, and we want to commend them. I am not very specific. I'm not very sure how much the numbers are, but I know that they are locally producing the vaccine for anthrax in animals, and we commend them for that effort. So we can only support them, but in terms of specifics, in terms of volumes of the vaccines, I'm not very sure.
And have we started administering these vaccines on the affected areas where the animals are being stocked?
Yes. I know that they have already started giving vaccines. We are getting reports from different farmers in communities where their animals are being vaccinated, and so we are grateful. I think this work is ongoing, and I'm very sure that with this effort, we should be able to reduce the spread of anthrax in the country.
And then do we even have enough staff to work in those areas where we need to do the vaccination of animals? Do we have enough staff?
Okay, on the fishery side, I'm not very competent, but on the human side, in terms of do we have staff that can, say, take care of patients who come with anthrax in our clinics? Yes, we do actually have staff across all the clinics across the country, and particularly here in Lusaka, we have staff that we train, we update regularly on how to manage a case of anthrax. So on the health side, on our side as Ministry of Health, and also particularly for Lusaka province, yes, we have the staff that can manage anthrax cases wherever they are detected in the province.
Well, viewers, in case you've just tuned in, this is a health chat with Zanice, and we are looking at the situation, anthrax situation in Lusaka province. I'm in the studio with Dr. Simnyamana Jonga, who is the Provincial Health Director, Lusaka province. Well, Doc, how is the recovery rate in humans?
Thank you, Faith, once more. That question you've asked is a very important question. First of all, anthrax is preventable, meaning that we can take precautions as the individuals, as communities, as families. And once we take those precautions, we won't catch it. Number two, anthrax is treatable, meaning when you notice that maybe you've eaten an animal that died on its own, or you've developed some symptoms, such as maybe a sore that eventually develops something which is called black in the middle, or a sore that indeed has a black circle in the middle, you can easily go to a facility, and the anthrax is very treatable. So first, it's preventable. We can take precautions. And number two, it is treatable. So I would say that the recovery rates actually are very good, particularly for if you go to the nearest health center, immediately you notice some symptoms on your body, such as the sore, which I earlier talked about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, looking at just the way you have explained, are there any complications if someone or anyone does not seek medical attention in good time?
Yeah, thank you, Faith. Again, that is also a very critical question. And it's critical because, like I said, anthrax is treatable. So the most important thing is that you go to the nearest health facility as soon as you notice that you may have anthrax. So in terms of are there any complications? Yes, it's like a dangerous disease. You can lose your life. And the anthrax, may affect your skin. It can affect what we call the lungs. It can affect your intestines. So some of the effects, particularly the one that affects the lungs or the one that affects the intestines, you can actually lose your life. And I think that's the worst complications you can suffer. So you can lose your life. That's the most important thing. And the critical step to take is to go to the nearest health center or nearest health facility, be it a hospital, so that you get examined and then you are treated. Because it's preventable, like I've said, it's treatable, and so you don't need to lose your life. There are other complications, of course. You can develop a disease of your lungs, like a pneumonia. You can have severe chest pains. You can have, constitutional symptoms. For example, you have severe abdominal pains. These are other complications that can arise, or they indicate that someone actually has anthrax. But the most important thing is the fact that you need to go to the nearest health center, because we have the medication, we have the staff, and the disease itself is treatable. Thank you, Faith.
Yeah, but Doc, you've mentioned of just having sores on your body and then you have to seek medical attention. Are these sores more different from the ordinary ones which we have? How can you tell to say this one, maybe I'm suspecting to having anthrax? Well, how different are these sores to the normal ones?
Okay, thank you, Faith. So the sore that is related to anthrax, normally it's a raised bump. Like, you have a bump on your body, on your skin.
Yes.
And then over a short period, it develops like what we call an ulcer or a sore, just a sore. And then that sore may have a black center, like a center. In the middle of the sore, you have something that looks black. That is the sore which may indicate that you have anthrax. And normally it occurs on the face, on the neck, and also on your hands. But it can occur on any other part of the body. And it may not be exactly like what I've described in some cases. So the most critical part is if a client, a community member, if you consumed meat that you suspect may have died on its own, be it meat from a cow or even bush meat, the most important thing is you make sure that you go to the nearest health facility once you develop a sore of that sort. But a sore is only one of the signs, and it's just indicative of one type of anthrax, which we call cutaneous anthrax. You can also have other symptoms like a cough, chest pains, when the anthrax is affecting your lungs. So again, this is a form of anthrax which may not reflect as a sore, but it may reflect as chest complications.
Okay, thank you so much. So as Lusaka Provincial Health Office, what steps have you put in place to combat this outbreak of anthrax?
Thank you, Faith, again. That is also a very critical question. The Provincial Health Office is working with different stakeholders. First of all, the most critical part is to what we call to risk communicate and engage communities, or RCCE. Risk communication and community engagement, because we know the most important stakeholder in the fight against the anthrax is community. So we are sensitizing our communities all over the province. We are informing them how not to catch anthrax. One, like I've said, don't eat meat which died from an animal that died on its own or from unregistered sources. So that's what we are doing. Number one, we are sensitizing the communities. But like I also said, we are also we are working in our facilities. We are updating and retraining our staff so that they are able to manage a case of anthrax. We also are stocking our facilities with the right type of medication to ensure that any client that comes into our facilities can access the medication. But we are also collaborating with different stakeholders. Our colleagues from Ministry of Fisheries are a very key partner, both in diagnosis and also in just sensitizing the public. So we are working with different stakeholders. We are working, for example, with the local authority, like here in Lusaka. I'm sure we've heard, like Lusaka City Council has gone flat out to make sure that they're inspecting the meat outlets, butcheries, and other sources of meat to confiscate the meat. So we are supporting and we are collaboratively working together as Provincial Health Office, as District Health Office, to make sure that we are protecting the members of the public. But the key one, Faith, is to make sure that our communities are mobilized so that they take precautions and they keep themselves safe. And we are giving this information freely in any of our health centers. And I thank you for this platform that you've given me to also give out information to the public.
Well, Doc, as Lusaka Provincial Health Office, what steps have you put in place in order to combat this disease?
So thank you, Faith. Once more, we are working with different stakeholders. And one of the key stakeholders we are working with is the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries, and also local authorities. So we work collaboratively together, one, to sensitize the public about the fact that anthrax is real, and two, it's preventable, and three, it's also treatable. So we are sensitizing the public to make sure that they are aware of this very important information. And the way you prevent anthrax, of course, is, for example, if you have an animal at home that is sick or it has died, you report to the vet people so that they come and help you to manage the situation, to look after that animal and how to dispose it off. But most importantly, when any of our community members develop, or maybe an animal has died, for example, we sensitize them not to eat the meat from there. Even if, for example, you find this bush meat, unless you are sure of the source, what we are encouraging the public is don't consume the meat from an animal that would have died on its own. The other very critical part, we are encouraging the members of the public to visit the nearest health center once they notice for example, a sore on their hand, on their face, and they have a history of having consumed the animal or animal meat. So we are also working with our different health centers, making sure that they have right medications to treat any case that may come into our clinics. We are also encouraging we're making sure that our teams on the ground, the health workers, they are trained and retrained in how to manage a case of anthrax. So some of the activities we are doing, but I can tell you it's a joint effort. We are working with the media houses such as Zanis and other media houses to sensitize the public, because that is the most important thing we can do together.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, thank you so much, Doc. But maybe on a lighter note, you know, this generation, we are so much of do-it-yourself, the DIYs, you know. So how could one tell to say this meat that I've bought is really safe from anthrax? Are there any symptoms that one would easily detect to say maybe this one is okay, or how should I know?
Okay, thank you, Faith, again. Again, that is also a very critical question. Yes, someone can actually tell. And how do you tell? If you recall, if you listen to our ministers, you listen to different stakeholders that have spoken about anthrax, they have always said, buy your meat from registered sources. Now, what that means is that that meat that you buy from a registered source has been inspected by a trained person who are called, trained people who are called meat inspectors. So when an animal is slaughtered, this team of experts, they actually go to the butchery, they would cut the animal, and they will be able to tell if this animal is infected. So indeed, the experts can tell. You and me may not really tell that this animal is actually infected. But once it is in a registered source, we are sure that our meat inspectors have actually checked this meat and have confirmed that it doesn't have disease. Yeah.
Thank you. And at the provincial level, are there any awareness programs that you have put in place to make sure that people are aware of this disease, they are aware of where to get the medication from, at least easy access? Are there such programs on the provincial level?
Yes, Faith, and also thank you for providing me this platform. So we have a health promotions unit. We have other units that support. You know, we believe every health worker, for example, is a health promoter. Yes. We believe, okay, personally, I believe that every community member, including yourself, journalists, everybody is a health promoter. So we actually do have teams that go around in communities where they engage the public, talking to them about anthrax, talking to them about other diseases. So we have programs to sensitize communities, and that's what I packaged as a risk communication and the community engagement. And government does this because, you know, the community and individuals are really the most important player in making sure that the country and the citizens are healthy, because actions are taken at community and at individual level. So in short, we have quite a number of programs that we have lined up as Provincial Health Office to sensitize the public on radio stations. It can be interpersonal communication, it can be on ZNBC, it can be on Zanis, and all other radio stations where my team is available both at provincial and district level to sensitize the public.
All right, thank you so much. I know we've chatted and we have looked at all different aspects on how we can prevent ourselves, how best we can actually, you know, look after ourselves and just take care of ourselves in not contracting this disease. And then what would be your word of advice to the general public on this outbreak?
Thank you, Faith. Again, I appreciate so much for that very important question. The most critical piece is to say that, you know, anthrax is first of all preventable and it's treatable. And I think that is really critical. You can take specific precautions so that you as an individual and your family do not contract diseases. And what are these precautions? One, obviously, is not to eat meat from an animal that has died on its own, or you are not sure about the source of the meat. That is in case of not eating, buying meat from unregistered sources. That is the most critical part in terms of prevention. Of course, issues around meat products. Also, if an animal is sick, you avoid eating meat products. That is the only on prevention. And treatment, we have the drugs, we have the personnel, we have our clinics all across the country. So for any citizen that may not feel well, may have a sore, and they feel that maybe they may have anthrax, the most important step is go to that nearest health center and get yourself treated. So there's no need to really panic, but we can take important precautions like the one I've just explained, and we'll be safe from anthrax.
Well, Doc, thank you so much for appearing on our program.
Thank you, Faith. I appreciate you giving me this platform. Thank you.
Well, viewers, thank you. On that note, we've come to the end of today's program, which is a health chat with Zanice, with me, Faith Mutale. From the entire production team, my producer, Kennedy Nkoma, is bye-bye. Until next time.